Welcome to the Play It By Ear podcast. The podcast where the topics may vary because, hey, we play it by ear. And now your hosts, Eric Fiskus, Brady Liming, and Todd Griffin.
Welcome to episode 26 of the Play It By Ear podcast. It is the back-to-school version of the podcast. Figured we kind of did Christmas in July, and now it's back-to-school season, so we thought, hey, let's...
You ready, Todd? From Grease 2? I want to go back
to school again. And we're off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, are we?
Delete that part out.
Yeah.
I would delete it out, probably not for the reason you're thinking, but... All right, welcome you back. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus as we've gotten our personal lives together, and of course, this is the busy time for teachers, as we all are, or people who are school people, and it's just about that time. So again, we thought, hey, let's do an episode about back to school. So we are going to do this a little bit differently, and after I do the housekeeping, I'll explain it. But with the housekeeping, we'll tell you that you can find us on anchor.fm/playitbyear podcast. You can also find us on YouTube for the video version of this show. In addition to anchor.fm for the audio piece, we're also on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and the iHeartRadio app, among other places you can find podcasts. And there's a whole list of them. If you go to our anchor.fm page, there are little icons there where we're found. Honestly, some providers I've not used ever before, CastBox and some other things. But anyway, most anywhere you can find podcasts, you can find us. You can also find us on Facebook at Play It By Ear Podcast, if you search that out. Also on Twitter at Play It By Ear Pod 2. Instagram, play_it_by_ear_podcast. Search us out there. And you can email us also at playitbyearpodcast2020@gmail.com. Just to give you a heads up on something as well, although we're not doing it on this episode, we're trying out a new piece of software where we can record our video remotely, and also we have a live call-in feature that's included in this software. Again, we're not doing it tonight, but could be an upcoming Easter egg in one of our episodes in the future, so keep your eye out for that as well. Anything else on?
I'd like to point.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to point out that I am glowing orange here because I have a lamp in a dark room and a flame from a 3-wick candle. So, like Brady said a second ago, I am a shade of cheddar cheese here right now.
There is no liver problems to be spoken of.
Yeah,
It's
I'm not
just a
jaundiced.
trick light.
You guys appear to be in bright rooms. I prefer the. When we record remotely, I prefer to set the mood with some candles. Tonight, I'm burning a little midnight blue.
Down by the fire.
Incense?
No, just candles. But anyway, I want to get that straight. And we don't really know what this is going to look like on the recording because the software we're using says at the bottom that it will look much better than it does here. But I think we look pretty darn good here.
Good for you guys.
I don't know how it's going to get any better. Yeah.
Will it make me look more handsome? If so, I'm all for it.
I am having a problem. Is there a way to switch the cameras? Because I keep looking at myself over here, and I'm getting a sore eye from looking to the left because I would prefer to be, and plus we're all over to the left of my screen. I would prefer to be a little bit more in the middle.
So you're going to get a lazy eye by the time the episode's over with? You're going to be...
Yeah.
I don't know about that. You'll have to...
The last 45 minutes will be me just going...
The methamphetamine version.
By the way, yes, my compatriots, I didn't didn't introduce the two of you. Brady Liming, wave hi, Brady. And Todd Griffin.
Hey,
wave
hey,
hi
hey.
as well.
I
Or
can
say
wave
hey,
hi.
hey. Like hey, like what's happening, Raj? That's before your time.
I caught the tail end of it.
All right. Again, back to school is the subject. We are, again, doing this a little bit differently. We're doing this kind of like we did the Founders Day and Fair episodes, where we're just going to have a list of different topics, kind of mini topics, if you will. Usually we spend 20 minutes on each topic. This will be a little bit shorter per topic, but we'll just kind of freelance it here, and I'll kind of moderate the conversation, and we'll see where it goes in true play-it-by-ear style. We have not rehearsed, so we'll figure it out. So just me pondering the situation here, I thought, why not? And we seem to have lost Todd.
Ooh,
Todd's coming
there
back.
he is.
There you are.
Yeah.
All right. In pondering this whole situation, just on the fly here, let's go through the school day, and we'll have a back to school kind of theme to it, but we'll kind of go piece by piece through. Okay, we're coming to school the first day. What have we done? What have we thought about? What are we thinking going in the door? So I believe the first step to the whole back to school process is the back to school shopping. So Brady is our resident clothes hound.
Oh, no,
you
Todd.
Substitute any word there that you like. But no, Brady, I think at that particular point in your life, I think you were probably more so, maybe he is now, but you were more so then, I would tend to say.
Yeah.
Trying to
I was always pretty picky. And I mean nothing to insult anyone in particular here in this, but one of my earlier comments on clothing, my parents tell me was that I told my mom one year that I didn't want no Kmart jeans when we were school shopping. So maybe I was a little uppity.
No Kmart jeans.
You just didn't want the tough skins that
Yeah.
made
But
the comment
looking
earlier
back-
that
That will be in the discussion.
Looking back, I'm surprised that, I'm surprised I would have known the difference.
Well, you did have older siblings, though, so
Yeah.
maybe you had a thought in your mind as to what fashion might be. I mean, my older siblings were much older, so I mean, when they were in school, they were wearing 70s apparel, and I didn't really care about clothing yet, and I didn't care much more after that. But anyway,
my older sibling.
so gentlemen,
I'm gonna give out props to my sister because one of my big back to school triumphs, being a kid that was part of the first MTV generation, we were bombarded with commercials for Merry-Go-Round. Merry-Go-Round was the hip clothier at the time. You would see the advertisements in Rolling Stone and all that kind of stuff, and the rock mags and MTV. And my sister, who was at Ohio State, stayed up there one summer, and she invited me to come up. And we did not have a merry-go-round at Eastgate. So when I got to go to Columbus, I got to go to merry-go-round, and I got my merry-go-round sweatshirt, and I felt like the bee's knees. But the problem is, Ohio summers, it's friggin' hot until nearly October. So I did not get to rock out my merry-go-round IOU sweatshirt until October because it was 90 degrees, and I just wanted to wear it so bad and be cool, when I would have been the opposite of cool, metaphorically and literally.
Yeah.
okay, so gentlemen, what was in regard to back to school shopping? What were the must-haves?
Well, had to have a new backpack. I don't really remember. It seems like I remember a new backpack just about every year, but I don't remember any one in particular. I don't remember having any kind of, colorful or design or any particular brand. But I always remember enjoying a good brand new backpack.
Eric, I see the look on your face because all of a sudden I feel old. We didn't have backpacks. We had an occasional
And
duffel bag.
That's what I was going to say. I do not recall. I didn't use a backpack till I was in college.
Yeah, I had a tan-colored
really?
Lee jeans duffel bag, which will forever live in infamy. That's a different story for a different time. But
Okay.
what?
So I'll stoke the conversation here. Lunchboxes.
Lunchboxes. Your year could be made, broken, smashed with the wrong choice of lunchbox.
That is a fact. So I'll give a shout out to Super 70 Sports on Twitter. If you're not a fan, you should be.
Big fan.
Some of the lunch boxes that he has pictures of, I do not recall anyone. Now, this is right in our wheelhouse. I'm assuming he's about our age because, and Todd, I think like me and Brady's age, and maybe not necessarily yours, but I don't ever recall anyone ever having a Walton's lunchbox.
When you open up the thermos.
And Brady, I believe you put it very well
You,
that if someone had walked in to the gym / cafeteria at Sardinia Elementary with a Walton's lunchbox, that would have been a tragic course of events for that person.
We were not mean people, but I'm sure it would look like this.
Yes, it would.
So every time you close it after lunch, it says "Good night, John Boy" to you when you close your
Yes.
lunchbox.
Nicely played.
Nicely played. Oh, I'm throwing my Capri Sun away. Good night, John Boy.
So what are some lunch boxes you have? And I'll start with Dukes of Hazzard. I did have a Dukes of Hazzard lunchbox.
My very first
You know,
one
I
was
might have had
Marvel
a Dukes of
Comics.
Hazzard.
It had a plethora of
Comics.
the Marvel Comics heroes on it. Very cool.
Right.
I know I had a He-Man lunchbox once. It seems like I had a Duke of Hazzard lunchbox once. Might have had a Scooby Doo one. That's
That was my
ringing a
second
bell.
one was Scooby Doo.
Yeah. I had a Peanuts
Scoobs.
lunchbox early on.
What?
Peanuts.
Oh,
Charlie
okay.
Brown.
I caught the same thing, Todd. What?
Speaking of tragic turn of events, that would have been worse than
Boxes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use the word peanuts and say, would have that been a Peanuts lunchbox or a lunchbox for peanuts?
A Charlie Brown
If you had a
lunchbox and Snoopy.
Snoopy.
okay, Snoop.
Snoop.
What was the was there a Conan type character back in the early '80s that wouldn't have been Conan? Wouldn't have been a Hercules. There was some. It seems like I had a.
Are you talking? Well,
Clash of the
that-
Titans.
No.
No.
That movie, early '80s. Freddie Mercury sang the theme
Flash
song.
Gordon.
Flash Gordon.
No, I do remember. I do remember that, but no, it wouldn't have been that. It could have been just a Conan. Conan lunchbox.
There was
but
a circa-
It was one of the kind. Do you remember the lunchboxes? 'Cause I remember 3 distinct styles of lunchboxes. The first ones I had would have probably been metal,
Yes.
which I think those are the ones that a lot of people collect and that are worth some
Yeah.
money these days.
Metal with
The
the
next
requisite
one-
thermos.
Huh?
Metal with the requisite thermos. included.
Yes. And then I remember the metal ones pretty much just were replaced by the plastic ones, but same pretty much shape, same overall.
Rectangular.
But I also remember therefore having, and I think this Hercules one or this Conan one that I had was more of like the what I would consider like an adult lunchbox back then, or like it was more mailbox shaped
It was
and had a
bi-level.
round like a yeah. It opened from the top.
Right. And
You
the
know,
thermos was
again,
in
like
the
very-
top
very much-
compartment.
Yeah, very much mailbox shape,
Lunch
but
bucket.
you open it the other way. I remember having one that style was plastic, and I think it was blue, and I think it was the the Conan one I was talking about.
Could it have been? And I think you would have. Could it have been Lion-O from the Thundercats?
No.
Because holding the
No,
sword,
and
he struck a very Conan-like pose.
Yeah. And I was even thinking maybe He-Man. I think I did have a Masters of the Universe lunchbox if I didn't already mention that. But this still would have been, man, I remember long hair, kind of wore the, had the
There
fur
was
loincloth.
muscles and,
There was an Arnold
fur
Schwarzenegger Conan
loincloth.
movie.
yeah, the loincloth, bare-chested.
Did you pack some sausage and some, some manly meats? Manly
You
lunch.
can tell in the loincloth. Yeah.
So
Right.
would you be allowed to have a? This might be getting too political. We can sweep it under the rug if it is. But would you be allowed to have a Dukes of Hazzard lunchbox now?
Well, depending
'Cause
upon if certain aspects of the Dukes of Hazzard were included.
As long as you didn't show
Yeah.
the top of the General Lee,
There you go.
and as
Yeah.
long as there wasn't too much of a buxom Daisy Duke.
Yeah, I don't know that would be an issue. But
I don't know.
What do you think the percentage? What do you think the percentage of people who know the term Daisy Dukes but have no idea where it originated from?
Are they
oh,
What
red-blooded,
percentage would you say?
I would say
strapping
80%.
young lads? Yeah.
80%?
80%.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, let me qualify that. I believe. I think you have to do that in age groups because obviously people of our age know where it came from. But let's say 10 to 30. I would say only 20% really know.
Remember,
Although
there
there
was
was
a
a Dukes
Dukes
of
of
Hazzard
Hazzard
movie.
remake.
True, but that's got some years on it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other lunchbox. I could be misremembering this. I could have swore I had a Tron lunchbox.
Never saw the
Because, like,
movie.
Yeah.
Me neither. Not that I remember. Didn't they redo that a few years ago?
Yes, they did. And
did.
there's actually going to be another remake coming up of that I've read.
Remake of the remake.
Remake of the and then you got to a certain point at school where it was no longer cool to have a lunchbox. You just went with the brown bag because lunchbox with kiddie stuff, you know. Sad because it was always a big deal shopping for your lunchbox. It was always so cool.
I got to put a picture. I just found my lunchbox.
Did you?
Hot diggity dog. Yes.
Is it Conan?
No. You wait for it. We were all wrong. It's Thundar the Barbarian.
Thundar.
Thundar the Barbarian. I just
Thundar
googled
with the sun sword.
I'm looking at it right now, and it has the thermos. It has. I'll show you guys. I'll send you a picture, and we can put it on
can
Facebook.
hold it
But
up
I'm
to your
excited
camera.
because
You can hold it up to your
Well-
camera. May
Hang on.
not show very well.
Thundar was kind of a.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
I think actually Thundar predated He-Man.
I believe
I
you're
think
right.
Yes. What was his sidekick? Was his name Oogla?
wait.
Like
It was
the
a
cougary baboon-looking dude.
yeah. That's what I was going to say.
You
It's
know
kinda
exactly
half-
what I mean, too.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at, and then he had a female sidekick as well, but he was like, you guys can go ahead and tell me, was he the poor man's Conan? were they the Kmart pants of barbarians back then? I mean,
No, there's actually a story behind this. I think Thundar. Excuse me.
And Brady would know the story.
When Conan came out,
was it one of those deals where I asked for a Conan the Barbarian lunchbox and I got a cheap knockoff Thundar
No.
the Barbarian?
even though Conan the Barbarian was based on a Marvel comic, the Conan the Barbarian movie was R-rated and had a lot of nudity. And but so to get in to cash in on the little kids, you know, they made a Saturday morning cartoon that was like Conan but less violent and no more pillaging and womanizing. So that led us to Thundar, which was more like a Conan light.
Yeah. I feel like there was this time during Halloween, there's a picture of it somewhere, where my cousin Jason and I went trick-or-treating, and he's dressed as Bugs Bunny and I'm dressed as just generic bunny. Just it's not Bugs, it's no relation to Bugs. It's just a bunny, just a
Larry Lupine.
Insects Lupine.
Lex Lupine. I like that.
So, like I said, Jason's got. I mean, you could clearly tell it's Bugs Bunny, and then I'm over there, and it's like a red and yellow bunny. There's nothing natural about it. You don't.
What's
like a fire
that,
bunny.
Doc?
Okay, yeah, I'm going to say something.
Who's down, Doctor?
We'll make a comment here. Now we've done this 26 episodes of this podcast now, which is probably 35 hours of content. You pick me any 35 hours of conversation that anyone has had, and to use the word lupine as much as we've used it, you won't find another 35 hours of conversation that uses that word so much.
Which is funny because, but let's go a little deeper or I guess a little more simple here. We talk about rabbits in general a lot. Because he wouldn't be saying lupine if we didn't bring up rabbits.
Rabbit holes, because that was the origin of it, was lupine distractions.
Yeah, my parents did the best they could for me, but I was incredibly embarrassed being the just generic B rabbit,
Lex Lupine,
GB rabbit, generic B rabbit.
You look like Ralphie in A Christmas Story in his bunny outfit.
Well, these
walking out of the house.
These weren't the fuzzy pajama style. These were the kind of back when it was your uniform or the bottom part was just basically a piece of plastic with printing on it, and then the masks were just the front with the strap that you would pin your ear in 400 or 500 times a night.
Did you have a pantyhose? Stuff was stocked. Like, did you have the pantyhose filled with socks?
No. Like I said, the mask was just the
plastic mask with the.
Yeah, I had the ears already on.
You look much more Cadbury and less Bugs.
Yeah, I'll try to find that picture if I can find it. But
please do.
Mike,
that'd be amazing.
Yeah, we need
somebody waited to the last minute to buy their kid's Halloween costume.
All right. So did your parents get that at Vern's Variety Store? Did they?
I don't know.
Probably the last one on the shelf.
Knockoff bunny rabbit.
All right. So lunchboxes, clothing. We kind of started into clothing, and I diverted us.
Let's go back to lunchboxes a second, Eric.
Okay.
How about you brought up the thermos?
Correct.
Let's talk a little bit about some things maybe that you either could have or did take to school in your thermos.
Okay, guaranteed to almost make me vomit if I saw someone with their thermos full of tomato soup. I can't deal with that.
Oh. It's funny you bring up vomit and thermoses because I thought you were going here. I have a distinct remember, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody had a thermos of a chicken and stars. That's when Campbell's, it was like chicken and noodles, but it was chicken and stars, and they yacked it up right there on the gym floor. So it was like a galaxy of vomit on the floor. So I was kind of always haunted by soup and a thermos after that because I kind of associated it,
Yeah. It's the upchuck Milky Way.
Oh, it is unfortunately it was not light years away. It was right behind me.
I never had chicken.
I missed out.
Go ahead.
I missed out on a lot of the lunchtime antics after I got to be a certain age because I was walking home for lunch.
Yeah,
this guy
and buying my black market candy to. I was the original dealer.
Peddling his wares, riding the teeth of America's Ute. Astro Pops and all.
I charge a handling fee in candy. It was a good racket.
You were a respectable businessman because you could have stuck it to us at theme park prices, but you didn't.
Oh,
you just did a reasonable cut. If I remember correctly, the football album stickers were 40 cents, and you would charge us 50.
Yes.
And we would go home hungry because we would send our Milk Money to the Candy Man.
Milk
Why
Money.
didn't we call you the Candy Man?
I don't remember Chicken and Stars being around back then.
It was like chicken noodle soup, but
No, I know
the
it-
reason I didn't care for it was like little carrot chunks.
No, I
in
know
it.
what they are. I know what they are. I just don't remember them being out back then. I thought that was a relatively last couple decades thing. The Chicken
Oh,
and Stars. We probably had some knockoff like Pigeons and Asteroids or something. I probably to go along with my my Drugs Bunny suit.
Drugs.
Drug
Once
Bunny
again, nicely played.
with my Spiel and Magic helmet. Drugs Bunny.
So that begs the question, Eric. Do you think that a thermos was better for soup or sip? Drink?
Definitely. No.
Yeah. I don't ever remember
did your
having drink in mine. Well, no, I do. I remember having juice
No.
in it.
Yeah.
Jewish.
Did your parents ever let you learn the hard way the life lessons why you couldn't put soda in your thermos?
I don't remember.
It would
What
get
is that
flamed.
lesson?
It's like, oh, can I put some Dr. Pepper in? It's like, no, you can't. Oh, come on. Oh, you'll find out. So you'd put it in your thermos, then you'd open it up and think about opening up a can, except a big old cavernous mouthful. And it'd be like, and it would fly all over everything.
Yeah. So
And whatever was left was flat.
did you guys drink were you with the cool kids who, when you drank out of your thermos, you just took the lid off and tipped it up and drank it, or did you pour it in the little cup with the finger holder? Which way did you guys do it?
Into the cup.
But I'll say, I said the cool kids didn't do it that way, but actually I remember doing it because if you remember right, the brim, the thickness of those thermoses was so thick that you couldn't get your lip around it to try to drink it. I mean, you know,
You couldn't lip it. Yeah,
Yeah,
you'd
you're
wear
trying to
it.
Do that
You'd-
again.
yeah, you tried to drink it and you couldn't get your top lip spread across to the inner ID of the thermos. So you end up dripping it down your chin into your lap.
You dribble like
Okay,
like
so-
a discount hour at the proctologist.
And if you had too much tomato soup, like Eric said, then the inside of your thermos plastic was always stained like a dirty swimming pool floor. Just
red.
just the whatever orange or
There were many things that could go awry when you put soup in the thermos. So I present this to you two, and you can tell me if this is vrai ou faux, true or false. The death knell of the lunchbox thermos was sounded with the invention of the Capri Sun.
Ooh,
yeah.
truer words
Yeah,
have not been
yeah.
spoken.
You no longer needed that.
One of my favorite memes was somebody said, "Why on earth hasn't anybody done this? Because adults everywhere. Why did they just not make a gallon jug of the Capri Sun juice that's not in a bag? Why can't they just make a? You know, I would drink that stuff now.
Yeah.
If I didn't have to work so hard and impale
That's
it.
just it. That was a piss poor design at best.
And now it's
Yeah,
just
they-
tradition.
Yeah, the idea is a good one, but then I believe they have dealt with the mechanics of it because you used to have to poke the straw into that little tinfoil spot
Yeah. Yeah.
in the
Well,
Capri
they used to
Sun
not even have a
pouch.
spot. You had to find your own spot back in my day.
You had to stab.
Have you ever impaled your Capri Sun all the way through, and then you're really screwed because it like leaks out two sides? That's
Or-
a bad day at lunch.
Or you squeeze the Capri Sun too hard trying to stab the straw into it, and then you stab the straw and then it squirts all over the place.
Yeah.
Or you're squeezing it and it shoots. It kind of gives you a nose enema. Like it squeezes out that just goes right up your nose hole. And there's lots of bad things that could happen with Capri Suns.
But even so, the Capri Sun spelled the death knell of the thermos.
It did.
It did.
And oddly enough, though, I can even remember being pretty little, pretty young, and having the Capri Sun, and only one was never enough. I mean, they never held that much juice.
Like a shot.
Oh,
And after the Capri Sun, then you had the box, the high C juice box. Much better invention.
Correct.
Which is in my refrigerator to this day. I use it as an excuse that my kids, I was like, well, they were out of hugs, and I get them,
Well-
and I get busted drinking them because I love them.
See, you beat me to it because sometimes you had those people that had the hugs.
I had hugs. Yeah.
I don't like
The
hugs.
problem with hugs,
Tastes like melted.
well, the problem with hugs is, again, they were hard to open. You had to have just enough fingernail or find somebody that did have enough fingernail to jab the middle of it because they didn't have anything to stab them with. Or
Or you could bring your own
Your
straw.
incisors.
or you peeled it
Get a
off.
milk straw and stab it. Milk straws.
Or you could peel it off and which was hard to do, and you always drop little pieces of the little shards of the lid in the juice. And my worst memory is you could actually slice your finger open on the metal part.
Oh,
You-
yeah.
you dig your finger in, and then you do this, so you got that, and then you round it out to try to get all of the metal. And you hook a jagged piece.
And then you're left with then you're left with the choice, like, do I go thirsty or do I get hepatitis? So it's like,
But none of those juice,
not fun.
none of those juice containers were big enough.
No. Even for little
No.
kids.
Why don't they make adult size ones? Good gosh, if you give me a pint,
They do.
Of
They make bigger.
a pint juice
I
box.
think they make bigger high C
Yeah.
boxes.
Make super size.
They're called wine boxes, I guess, for adults. Man.
Well, even when you think about it, milk, it wasn't really enough milk either. I mean, I always had to have an extra milk, some extra milk.
2 minutes.
And we've talked about this before. I am against drinking chocolate milk with anything that's not dessert based. I can drink chocolate milk with cake, cookies, pie, whatever. But a slab of pizza, a slot of corn, and chocolate milk.
I feel it right
Yeah.
here.
But yet we did it.
Is nothing worse than coming in from a hot recess. Oh, I need something refreshing. Chocolate milk. Said no
Well, the
one.
milk break at the end of the day was good. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
They come
yeah.
walking in with the milk containers, and you had an extra 10-cent.
I I had no choice but to drink the chocolate milk because white milk makes me vomit.
Does it still to this day?
Vomit.
To this day.
Yeah.
And now,
Yeah.
we always made fun of people for drinking white milk back then. 'Cause- like Brady said, we
Shame
were
on you for being healthy.
we weren't mean, but yeah, it just the cool kids drink chocolate milk. But looking back, I would probably pick white over chocolate now, though.
Dude, one of the reasons this just dawned on me like a ton of bricks. Like, I remember one of the reasons I still to this day, I cannot open up a carton and drink any milk. A, I don't like drinking milk, but B, you were talking about milk break. Well, I think one time the lunch ladies accidentally left the milk out, and when they delivered it to our room, I opened it up, and it was just it was like a congealed glob that had spoiled.
Yeah.
Brady had a
And it
carton
fell
full
out.
of cottage cheese.
Then the multi-colors of white and gray that I turned as I vomited.
I swear I remember that. I swear I remember that.
Yes.
Well,
It was like brown cottage cheese in a carton.
and I don't have near the memory you guys have of my younger days, but I do. I seem to remember at some point strawberry milk coming into the picture. I might be thinking of my own kids' lunch when they, I don't remember when it happened. Eric, you might know this. I mean, well, your dad would probably know, honestly, if it would have been going on around,
But again, you beat me to it. First of all, kids today have no idea how good they have it to have the strawberry milk as a choice.
Yeah.
Because with us, again, it was either white or chocolate. To be able
Strawberry.
to eat breakfast at school, which we never
Yeah.
had that option either. Yeah.
No.
In strawberry milk was a treat of the utmost quick,
Yes.
QUIK, speaking of bunnies.
There's another lupine.
Lupine reference. But like to get the strawberry milk, like that was luxury. Like that was a rare, and it was great, man, when you had it. But it was not common. It's not like our parents went to Martin's, and there was frequent strawberry milk opportunities.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was, but it was the case.
You know, we were talking, Eric talked about, or somebody mentioned going to the brown bag.
Brady.
And we never kind of got to experience the lunchbox. The people who took the brown bag to the next level and actually had a decorative bag of some sort type of thing to bring their lunch in. We missed out on that whole thing.
Yeah. Like I always crack up because there's some very fashionable little girls that always come into my class, and they've got like these lunch bags that are like what's the famous Vera Wang,
Yeah.
the multicolored paisley
Well, and then 31 has lunch bags.
Vera Wang bags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody
All right,
remember? Anybody remember having anything in your lunch that was odd, or that people made fun of, or gave you crap about?
No. I remember one of my classmates putting way too much jelly on his,
On his what?
on his peanut butter, because whenever putting way too much peanut butter on a sandwich.
Because you said he put way too much jelly on his,
Oh, sandwich! What are you?
You said
thinking?
I had no idea where you were going with that. Usually I just say sandwich, not
Well, because I'm distracted by the mental image, because his sandwich kind of looked like a crime
yeah.
scene. It looked like Faces of
know what-
Death.
you know what they did
scene,
wrong?
Because there was just way too much jelly on
They
it.
didn't put a layer of peanut butter down first. Peanut butter will
Yes, we
protect.
talked.
And I just think they liked a
It'll
lot
protect
of jelly.
the peanut butter. Will protect. You can put a lot of jelly, but you got to put a layer of peanut butter as an epidermis layer on top of the
Insulate
bread.
the bread.
Yeah,
A lot of bleed through in a sandwich.
I remember that. And usually, the longer they sat in the lunchbox, the more it bled through.
Heaven forbid if you had a field trip and it had to sit out in the sun a while.
Jason and I, my cousin Jason and I, we got on a kick there for a while. We brought egg sandwiches to school, like fried egg sandwiches.
I
You
bet
guys,
that
there's
lunchbox
nothing-
smelled good when you opened it up.
There's nothing wrong with an egg sandwich.
Or nothing.
Much like his butt cheeks.
Nothing
You
wrong.
open, yeah.
Yeah.
There's,
So
I was going to say
nothing
you
wrong
open it
with
up
making
and
the whole gym smell like a fart.
that's what I was going to say. It smelled like the entire elementary had gas at once. But
You usually do.
but,
I work there.
but we got on this kick of having egg sandwiches, and I eat Miracle Whip on my egg sandwiches. I still do to this day if I eat an egg sandwich. Jason would eat catsup on his egg sandwich.
And you carried those things into school and let them sit in your lunchbox all morning long
Yeah,
before you ate them
yeah.
with
You couldn't
with
get it
mayonnaise
through an airport
and
these days with
catsup
that.
on them. Ugh. I'm not
Oh.
against condiments, but that's like disease waiting to happen there.
We were tougher back then. These kids now and their refrigerated lunches and microwaves.
Back in our day, we would eat gravel for our crawls to help break the,
Yeah, back in the
in our
Gizzards.
in the
gizzards.
late 70s, early 80s, we would have said COVID. Ah, that's nothing.
Well, Eric, do you eat egg sandwiches?
Isn't that a car?
Yeah,
What do you put on them?
not cheese.
Yeah, that's not a
I
condiment, though.
I don't generally put You didn't say condiment. You said what you put on them. I said cheese.
That's part of the sandwich. The cheese is
Sandwich.
it's attached.
I do not add condiments to my egg sandwiches.
Try Miracle Whip sometime.
I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I'm against putting condiments on my sandwich and letting them sit for 4 hours before I eat them.
Just watching Brady's face when talking about food. There's an 85%. Sorry about that.
You all right there?
What was that?
It just a big loud pop, huge loud pop in my ear.
Probably that egg sandwich from 1983.
Oh man, that hurt. Whew. Sorry about that, listeners. But
Didn't hear it.
there's an 85% chance when you mention food that Brady's going to just about yak.
No, there's just a wheel. It just seems to come up a lot. Like
You got grossed out before I ever mentioned
Yeah.
the Miracle though. I just said egg sandwich. You're like, oh, egg sandwiches.
Well, because I just heard. Well, can I tell you why? It's not the actual egg, but all I can imagine is an egg betwixt two slices of bread, and the grease is soaked up. So it's like it's kind of like the jelly syndrome, but with egg grease.
Yeah,
So it's
but
the
here's
visual.
here's how you fix that.
It's
Do you
like,
eat, do you eat fried egg sandwiches, Brady?
not overly. I'm not
Well,
a
here's how you
big
fix
guy.
it.
I read too many stories about cholesterol back in the day.
Yeah, it was all junk.
For real.
Fix it by putting a layer of peanut
Yeah.
butter on the bread before you put the egg.
It's right. No, eggs are eggs are some of the
Another
healthiest
epidemic.
foods you can eat. But anyway, put it
Yeah.
in napkins. This is what, and then you soak the grease out of it. And they never had grease on them.
No, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that today. Like if I microwave something, I'll
Yeah,
get the grease
Dab-
and the sheen
dab it.
off of it. But
Dab
like,
it.
knock the
Napkin on
sheen
it.
off of it. All right.
All right. So as far as food, and we kind of delved real far into lunch here, but any school food that is worth noting, and I'll start with school pizza. I think schools do pizza better than they do any food, and I have a number 2 there as well.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll leave it to you two. That'll make you number 2. No, seriously. Okay, so pizza.
Not in the school though.
Exactly. Yeah, never in school. That's a topic for down the road here. But okay, so pizza is the pièce de résistance of the school lunch. Any other favorites? Brady, I don't think you ever ate a school lunch. I don't ever remember you eating a school lunch.
Shocker.
I did know. I did a couple times on Chili Day. The chili was Mrs. Hardiman's chili was always some pretty. She had brought a good chili game.
It's all in the meat.
Chili's the 5th food group.
Got to have a peanut butter sandwich.
I
here.
remember.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my wife and I have had many a fights over the correct sandwich to eat with different soups and soup like products. We grew up, it was peanut butter with chili. She grew up, it was grilled cheese with chili, which is unheard of because it's grilled cheese with soup, tomato soup, vegetable soup, chicken noodle soup.
Yeah.
It's peanut butter with chili.
I've also heard of pimento cheese.
Some
chili.
heretics say talk about.
I'll fight
pimento
anyone who
cheese
disagrees with
chili.
that. Pimento cheese and chili, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot too. I like pimento cheese now. I didn't when I was a kid. It looked like throw up.
It did. I had a kindergarten memory. I remember getting school food one day for one reason, because Mom was reading the menu. She said, "Oh, do you want to try it? They're having tarts today." It's like, "What's a tart?" She said, "It's your own personal pie." And I'm like, "Oh yeah." So I was thinking, I was going to get a pie on my plate. Well, of course, you get to lunch, and of course, it's about the size of a quarter. And I'm like, what kind of bait and switch is this? It's like, so I have an attitude about tarts
Didn't
to
say
this
what
day.
size your personal pie was. Yeah. Just said your personal
Well,
pie.
it's kind of, Mom described it as it's a personal
Well,
pie.
she wasn't wrong.
Now, when I
So,
think of personal pie, I aim for
You
the
thought
stars.
it was going to take up that entire round portion of the lunch tray, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought it would be at least the size of like a Swanson's pat pie.
Like, like it was like you thought it would have its own metal pie plate that you had to skin her back just to get the
It did.
the crust out of it.
It did. It did have its own, but it was wee. It was tiny.
Wee.
And
a wee little pie.
Wee pie.
Yes, it's a wee pie. And you think I'm going to be filling your tummy? Ah, the joke's on you, haha. And I'm like, so it was like really small
I don't ever remember having it.
with a dollop of whipped cream
tart.
on it.
At least it didn't have a thimble of meringue on it, did it? That would have been terrible.
No, but a thimble's a good description about the size of it. But no, I just was just taking it's like, oh, tarts. Like, yeah, I'm all about that. I don't even know what I think I skipped the rat steak or whatever was with it, and I went right to the tart.
I'm going to tell you something, Brady.
That was
the
devastating.
reason you're such a picky eater is because you didn't eat enough school lunch.
Exactly.
I enjoyed school lunch. I'm going to say everywhere I've ever gone to school, I've enjoyed school lunch.
Okay, so then
Did you grow up in the era of stew?
We had them every
tomatoes?
once in a while, but you just don't eat them. That wasn't a main course.
Their very sight didn't make
Well,
you
I
weak
told
in
the
the
story the
knees?
one episode about me pouring stewed tomatoes, chocolate milk, and baked beans and mixing them up, and the teacher made me take a bite of it.
which would never happen today.
Yeah.
No. But Eric, to answer your question, pizza obviously was awesome. Which I told the story in an episode about my friend whose pizza had babies, and he would make you wait till the end of lunch to see who he was going to give the pizza to. Anyway, I enjoyed the nuggets. We had chicken and steak nuggets. Couldn't taste a damn bit of difference in between them, but they were good. They were just a breaded nugget.
They were breaded.
Nuggets didn't exist in our day.
Really?
I mean, I remember it was a big deal when McDonald's rolled out the
chicken.
McNugget, and what a
chicken patties.
concept. We had chicken
Yeah,
patties.
chicken patty on bun was
Interesting.
good. I remember the veal patty on bun was good.
You still haven't hit my number 2 though.
But the cool thing was we had a worker in the cafeteria around the time I would have been middle school, somewhere around there, and she would give you extra nuggets,
Extra.
and we would put them in our pockets. This is long before Napoleon Dynamite in the tater tots. She would give us extra steak or chicken nuggets, whatever we were having that day, and you would stuff them in your pocket. And back then, that would have been the days of like Jordache jeans not Jordache, but Bugle Boy. So you
Bugle
always
Boy.
had a nice, big pocket or two you could stuff with nuggets.
I got a pocket full of
Tater
nuggets. I got a
tots.
pocket-
That was a thing you could only get in a school lunch for a long time. But now there's several places, Frisch's included, Sonic. There's several places that
Yeah.
have tater tots, which is glorious. Tater
Everybody's
tots
taught
are
to trot
outstanding.
out there.
Yes. But
Hot
but
tot.
again,
Tot.
you still haven't hit my number 2 place food.
Okay, if it's not, is it
No.
the spaghetti?
No.
The school spaghetti?
Sausage on bun,
No.
hot dog sandwich.
No.
Wiener sandwich? Turkey?
Boy,
With mashed
you're
potatoes?
getting way.
Oh, I got it. It's Salisbury steak day, children.
I like
Although
good Salisbury
the
steak.
mashed potatoes are good. Yes, I'll give you that.
Remember the mac and cheese with the crust on it?
Ooh, mac and cheese, yes. And we talked
Yeah.
about the mac and cheese with the little pieces of bread in it, like they had at Sardinia Elementary. Outstanding.
Back when we were tough and mac and cheese wasn't a damn main course, it was a side, and that's the way you ate it, and that's the way it was supposed to be, and you had it with some meat. This nonsense of taking somebody to a restaurant and mac and cheese is the main course, or like
Yeah,
a school
that's-
lunch where mac and cheese is the main course.
That's communism.
I just got a food truck. I got some mac and cheese with
That's
brisket
different.
on top.
If you add meats,
Yes.
Yeah.
You still you've gone through all these foods and still have not hit
Man.
the number 2 choice.
Did we ever have
and it's
lasagna
right
in
there,
school?
man. The number 2 choice right there with the pizza.
wasn't. Do we have
You
pizza?
you,
No, we have
you
pizza.
guys are going to be so mad when I tell you what the number 2 choice is.
I'm gonna. It's not a
Do you
chicken
give up?
patri-
Do you give up?
Patricia.
We want fish on bun.
Hold on.
Yes.
Fish on Weiss.
Was that it?
Yes. Fizz.
Nice. Yeah.
The fist. And with the potato crisps. They were shaped like a French fry, but it was more of a potato chip, but it was a spear. You know what I'm talking about, right? What did they call those?
I don't remember.
Potato straws, weren't they?
Something.
Potato sticks.
But that's always
Eric, were you a?
potato. That's
yes.
what it was.
Are you talking about those things that come in a can?
Yeah.
Yeah, potato
Yeah.
sticks. Yeah, I remember those.
They always
They,
serve those.
they
with
basically
fish
look
on
like
Weiss.
edible matches without the little red tip on the end of them.
Indeed.
Exactly.
Or kitchen matches.
Exactly.
Then we'll mix those up with your candy cigarettes.
So Eric,
Same idea.
did
Yeah.
you put
Oh, don't say it.
ketchup
say it.
on your fish sandwich
Oh, you said it.
or
tartar sauce.
devil mucus
Tartar.
like tartar sauce? Yeah,
Tartar
gosh.
Tar.
That is Satan's
Tartar
snot.
sauce, and there is no other choice but tartar sauce.
So
There is.
I
It's
need
called
my,
Reggie.
Brady. For once, you and I agree. I'm not
Brady
a big.
puts nothing on his fist.
I am not a tortoise sauce fan at all. I don't like it. Although I do enjoy about once a year a Frisch's Big Boy, and it has tartar sauce on it.
Exactly.
But I don't like tartar sauce on my fist.
But tartar sauce, other than the Big Boy, appears on nothing else but
No.
fist.
But I do put ketchup on the Big Boy with the tartar sauce.
Ooh.
What?
No.
Yes.
It ceases to become a Big Boy at that point. It has been forever altered when you apply ketchup. No. Can't be done.
It becomes a buddy boy.
No, there's a Buddy Boy at Frisch's. Yeah,
there's a Buddy
I was thinking
Boy
there's a
at
Buddy Boy somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And-
I was
Sorry,
taking the
not-
baked buddy at La Rosa's.
And not Thousand Island dressing either,
Right,
because
yeah.
that's not a Frisch's Big Boy. That's a Bob's Big Boy.
It's also a
Different
Big
thing.
Mac.
Correct.
Oddly enough, I don't like Thousand Island dressing, but I like one Big Mac a year.
Ugh, don't get me started on that.
You've heard
We all
about
know
that.
the Big Mac story. Just about like the peanut butter and jelly story, Brady.
You know, oddly enough, remembering back to sausage on bun, that was an odd choice because it wasn't like the rest of the lunch was breakfast themed.
No.
It just seemed weird to take a breakfast food
No.
and stick it in the middle of normal lunch food.
Here's mashed potatoes, some mixed vegetables, and pancakes. That's kind of
And
what they did.
This is
to us,
this
you
is
know?
kind of a. There's nothing funny about this, but one of my best memories of sausage patty on bun was most people know that my brother was in the Air Force for many years and he was in Desert Storm and I guess Desert Shield and Desert Storm. And anyway, when he got back, so my class and our team, like the team teachers, we wrote to my brother when he was overseas. We wrote letters to him, and when he got back, he came back to Ohio to visit everyone, and he came and talked to the class. And I felt like a pretty VIP bringing in my brother who had been over at war and stuff. But anyway, he ate lunch with me that day, and we had sausage on bun. So that's one of the reasons why I think that lunch stands out as being so, because it probably wasn't that good, to be honest with you, a shriveled up old sausage patty. And,
I could see Donnie taking a bite. It tastes like freedom.
yeah.
You know, like,
So we are 51 minutes in, and we've only talked about lunch.
fluid.
So,
Typical play by your
Play it by ear fashion.
back to the clothing. I keep trying to draw us back to the clothing, and you'll keep going back to the lunch. So anything on clothing that we haven't touched upon? Brady kind of started down that road, but
We've riffed on Garanimals before,
Correct.
so we don't need to revisit that. Have we ever riffed on
Tough
Toughskins?
skins. Yes, I told you we would come back to that.
Oh yeah. So like
So-
you know, for those that are uninitiated, Toughskins were a denim that
Maybe a denim. I'm not sure exactly. They
maybe
were
a denim.
denim-like.
I
They
made
were in the denim family.
I made the comment that actually I'm pretty sure the Toughskins were invented by NASA because that's what coated the bottom of Neil Armstrong's Apollo capsule for reentry. So when it would come back into the atmosphere, those it was on the bottom of that capsule when they splashed down. And so Toughskins were like so daggone stiff. It was like wearing a canvas tarp around your loins, and it would chafe, and it was, and they were very, very indigo
Yes.
blue, just like the bluest of blue
So,
Toughskins.
so Todd, you being a little younger than us, were Toughskins still around when you were of the formative ages?
I'm sure they were. The only pant brand that I remember wearing as a Ute, Wranglers. I remember wearing Wranglers when I was small, and again, and then as I got to middle school, you had like Bugle Boy and things like that come into play.
Jordache.
So
I-
go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say like now, like when I take my kids Christmas shopping, or sorry, school shopping, and now it's always, like my son has to have like a great pair of shoes to start school with. which always kills me because just, usually in the past, it's in a couple months later, he's going to need an expensive pair of shoes to play basketball in or, whatever. So growing up, I don't remember that. I don't remember having to have like top of the line shoes to start school. I always had top of the line. I always had expensive basketball shoes. I never wanted in that area, but I don't remember having to have them for school. Right. And in fact, I just seem to remember wearing usually my school shoes after basketball were my basketball shoes. But I don't remember going out before the year. I'm sure I got a pair of shoes, but I can't imagine they were on the same level as the basketball shoes. And it seems like kids now have, pretty high level shoes.
Yeah.
Eric, do you have any memories of being like the saddle shoes, what they call saddleocks, where they are black and white and they kind of look like bowling shoes a little bit?
My sister had a pair when she was in high school and she had a pair of those. I remember those. Of course, obviously
that was a thing for a while.
Very young.
They kind of look like feet pandas.
I'm wearing a pair now. Yeah, I'm taking them off. That's what I'm doing down here.
Well, let's hope that's what you're doing.
They have not gone out of style. That particular black and white, I know what you're talking about, but
yeah. See, now these were just stark black and white. They were those are.
But they're
cool.
called saddle Oxfords, right? I mean, that's the same. Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah, it's the same
I've
idea.
Heard it's called Dirty Bucks.
I'm assuming
too.
this is because
that part would be black and then the other would be white.
Yeah, but I love these shoes.
Have you ever heard them referred to as Dirty Bucks?
No.
Because they're buckskin, but they're a slightly soiled buck.
I apologize. I have to take this other one off now. I can't sit with one shoe on, one shoe off.
So back to the skins for a moment. So people, and again, Todd doesn't even remember. So it's people of a certain age. So me and Brady's age, maybe a little younger, maybe a little older. So Brady explained them pretty well. Canvas is a good comparison. The knees were reinforced with something.
Oh, yeah.
So you had the
steel wool.
So you had the
Brella pads.
You had the pants, which were a canvas sort of thick, but then you had that extra layer of thickness at the knees. So, and we're going to, I believe, get into this here in a moment, but the playground when we were young at Sardinia Elementary was essentially just a blacktop parking lot. So you could literally fall or even go running and slide on your knees on the blacktop in your Toughskins, and you get up and you brush off the little black streak that was on your knees, and then the pants would not be harmed at all. And I believe probably sparks flew when you...
I was going to say, if there was a faculty member with a leaking gas tank, our knees would have caused the Flint-like reaction. But
I do remember having pants that had that support in the knee, and some of them you could even see the change. You know what I mean? Like you could see the patch like
a professor's patches on it.
Yeah, and even if it didn't have a differing color, even if the support was on the inside, you still could see the square around it. You know what I mean? Like it looked like a football player wearing a knee pad.
Yeah.
I'm laughing at the word support because the word support is not usually a word I think of when I think of my knees.
You're lucky because the older I get, I definitely need some support for my knees.
Or anything that might be around your knees, right?
Cracking and popping. But yeah, I remember being able to see that. I guess it would be the outline or the indention of that knee area.
Correct. So now I'm off on a tangent here. I know we were in clothing. Now I'm going to pull us off the tangent. So I talked about our playground when we were young, and Todd, it was probably the same way when you were there as well. In the early years, you played like right in the parking lot outside the school there, and there was no equipment or anything. It was just a parking lot. I mean, it had like hopscotch things painted on the parking lot, and there was a feature of the parking lot. Brady knows what I'm going to say. There's a feature of the parking lot that warns you from going near the street. Now, Brady doesn't know what I'm going to say. What was on the playground, painted on the playground at the at the front of the driveway there that warned the little kids, don't go into the street.
Man,
I don't know. I'm overthinking it.
Oh, yeah, and again, just like the fist, you're gonna be very angry when I tell you what this is because you didn't remember it.
Sorry.
was it a foot?
No, the sneaky snake.
Sneaky snake.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
a snake.
That.
There was a snake painted at the edge of the parking lot right near the street. And we were told as little kids, you get near the sneaky snake, you're near the street. Don't get near the sneaky snake. And I believe that contributed to my fear of snakes to this day.
Yeah. And
Now,
these
Todd,
weren't
maybe
even
they had a
like-
shark painted on the parking lot by the time you came through. I don't know.
I would love to see a picture of that.
Yeah.
It was like a
they
polka
put the
dotted
clear
snake.
intention snake on the other side. But
It had polka dots on it, as I remember.
it did. It had polka dots. Eric, what I was laughing about. Sorry, go ahead, Todd.
I was going to say, which is, not the scariest of snake patterns.
But
Not
yeah.
really. So many polka dotted snakes have you seen in the wild anyway? Maybe that is
I don't
pretty
think there
scary.
are any polka dotted snakes.
That'd be pretty scary then, wouldn't it?
The polka dotted python.
The polka python.
Some alliteration for you.
That is. I was thinking about the playground stump.
Where was this stump?
It was like it where the buses would pull around. You know that
Between
space,
Between the buildings, like on the side of the.
like on the side, like the Druho and the Veterans Hall was Legion Hall was on the right.
Yeah.
And then that was where the buses would pull through. And the stump was there, and it was kind of like a King of the Mountain thing. And when you're 5, that stump seemed huge. I would love to know actually how big that stump was, but to me as a 5-year-old, it was just mammoth.
Does anyone remember the tree that was there? That the stump.
No, it was always the stump. I mean that our first year of kindergarten, playground, elementary hood, that it was this that was all that was there.
Yeah.
Which I
And
found
actually,
it
it was
odd
probably
that they-
taken down to make room for the buses.
Well, yeah. I mean, I found it odd that they left the stump there. I mean, they
Yeah.
blacktopped that whole playground or that whole parking
Yeah.
lot.
Now that you mention
the
it,
stump.
why go through? Why blacktop around it?
I don't know. Maybe that tree
Unless-
had some significance.
Maybe the blacktop came before the tree fell,
It could be.
so they saved the tree, but then the tree,
If anyone, such as our resident historian Kenny Enlow, who's a little older than us, knows the story of the stump as to why the tree was no longer there by the time we entered into Sardinia Elementary in 1976, we would love to know.
yes,
Could have it been that the stump, it couldn't have broken through the blacktop, like it was the blacktop around it.
It was definitely sawed and smooth, kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was, lopped off in a
Yeah, but
pretty.
it wasn't a fallen tree. It was a purposely
Yeah.
cut tree. You could tell.
But looking back, I don't really remember. Not that I visited every elementary school around, but I don't ever really remember any elementary school around having something as cool as what we had behind our school. Like just with the dimensions of it, you had the flat part, you had the hill, you had the baseball diamond down there. Over here, you had the kickball court, another hill with the basketball. It was really a cool place to grow up, recess
It
wise,
was.
and
A lot of possibilities there.
yeah.
Well, and the concrete step / seating area. It was just like a terrace. There,
Yeah.
it was a terrace.
Right.
Looking back, I don't know how the teachers ever kept an eye on all of us because we were spread out pretty. I mean, I don't
Like
remember
the
there
state
being
of
a
Montana
part of.
back there.
I don't remember being like any place being off limits.
No. Well,
Go ahead.
so it was a neat thing to go from you had the parking lot when you were in the lower grades, kindergarten first, then you graduated to 2nd and 3rd grade, and you had swings on the other side of the building.
Mm-hmm.
You also had a parking lot where you played kickball, and again there were swings over there. But then you got to the upper grades, and then you got to go back down the hill area that you were talking about, Todd. So it was a progression as you went along.
don't forget the teeter-totters and the jitterbug. Do you remember the jitterbug and the merry-go-round?
And the
Oh,
merry-go-round, yes.
But-
Indeed.
Yeah, and then I remember, I don't know if you guys remember when they put in the little whatever those things were. There was like a chicken and a pig or whatever. Like there's little tiny
Oh yeah, on a
the
spring.
animals on the big spring right in the middle of them, and they
Yeah.
it's pretty much went
Yeah,
forward
right,
and
right,
backwards
forward.
and everywhere.
Could
They
totally
had those
take
when
your
you were there.
face off if it snapped back.
Yeah,
I think
I
that
can't
was
remember what.
after our time as far as us playing on them. I think they might have been there, but I think we were too old to actually ride them,
Yeah, I can't remember what animals were represented
for,
there.
for lack of a better term.
I'm pretty sure there was a pig, a couple chickens.
I remember somebody about losing their manhood. That like they were straddling them, and a friend pulled him back. And it
That was
it
usually
was
reserved for the teeter-totters when someone would jump off the other side and you go crashing to the ground.
Yeah,
Todd, that face you made was priceless when I said that.
we've all
well,
experienced it.
I've only one time in my life experienced anything like that since, and Brady was there. He can tell you about it. It was the band played. This would have been the Noble Hardyman days, probably. Maybe the barcodes, whatever we were the first time. The barcodes. We were playing the campground over at Mineral Springs, and I was hanging a banner in front of the stage, and I was standing on one of our speakers, and it starts to tip over. I kind of half slide, half jump off, and end up stoving my butt, my butt crack, tailbone, scrotum, all in the corner of this speaker. And I mean, I literally I felt so hard it hit my shoulders, my neck, it hurt everything. I just stoved myself. And that's exactly the way it felt on the teeter-totter when somebody would jump off.
I'm going to use a first grade reading book terminology to describe that. You sat down hard.
Yeah, but it wasn't even the sitting down hard. It was the speaker was tipping, so the corner of the speaker, it was like the world's slowest and most dull impaling attempt. Like,
It was
remember that,
awful
Brady?
looking.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, I was afeared that he would never have any more children, and he would his stones would have been rendered gravel because he just like it was scary. And after we saw he was going to survive, we laughed about it. But like it was pretty sickening looking.
yeah, I thought I was paralyzed.
Or they paralyzed. Well, the
Because it
question was,
stoved everything up. It, like, my whole upper body just kind of accordioned.
Look like in Tom and Jerry when they get hit by the pile driver and they're like an accordion, they turn into
Yeah.
to a concertina.
Well, not only that, but those boards back on the teeter-totter back in the day. I don't think the boards were changed in 38
Oh, no.
years. Yeah.
You could get a splinter lodged in your crevices real easily.
yeah,
Rusty bolts hold them together.
yeah, there certainly is more of an attention paid by the health department to playground equipment now than there had to be back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we survived metal slides. I mean, I'll never forget when I read the little graphic that hot playground metal slides was the #1 cause of pediatric hemorrhoids. For
Oh,
real.
man.
Yeah. Seriously, I remember seeing it in the Cincinnati Enquirer that the #1 cause of pediatric hemorrhoids was hot playground slides when they went from metal to plastic.
I don't really want to hear the #2 cause of pediatric hemorrhoid.
But yeah, I just because like it was just in the paper, and I read the paper as a child in the papers. Yeah, I didn't make this up,
That sounds like something my mom would have told me to keep me from getting on the slides or something back in the day. Like,
You'll get hemorrhoids.
Well, with her, it would have been.
Fire in the hole.
It would have been. I read a story in the Reader's Digest about a kid who was on too many metal slides and got hemorrhoids. That's what it would have been.
And he
It would have
lost his
been.
legs.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've never, ever, ever heard of people having hemorrhoids that were not older.
Well,
I've never
guess
really
it irritated the tender tissues.
Well, I get it, but
I'm
I never knew that was a thing that young people dealt with.
I just remember reading it and it stayed with it. Stayed with me, you know.
Well, not only that, but you got to admit, Brady, you took a pretty sharp turn there because Eric talked about metal. Somebody mentioned metal slides. I think anybody listeners, see if you agree with me. Everybody, I think, thought you were going with how hot they would get and burn your skin when you were going down them, and you took a turn.
Hence the hemorrhoids.
Yeah, but I guarantee you, nobody thought he was going there.
Oh,
I thought you just meant scalding injuries on like your bare skin, like your arms, or if your shirt would come up on the back in the back and get your back skin,
or go bare butt down the hot slide.
I mean, what kind of people are going bare ass down a slide?
It would be embarrassing, but but for real, like my playground horror story, and Eric will probably know this, and it has to be back to school because it happened on the first day of school. My family had gone out to Yellowstone that previous summer, came back to school, and I had found two naturally occurring flint rocks where you knock them together and it sparked. It was naturally occurring flint. So I brought them to show. But, of course, being an imaginative Ute, you know, did a lot of superhero and Star Wars play where I had to make a leaf bomb to distract the bad guys. So just got some leaves together, and I sparked them. The fence row was covered in poison ivy. I had poison ivy so bad that I had to go to the doctor and get like steroid injections. I missed 2 or 3 more days of school afterwards. There was not a part of me outside of my, covered regions that was not riddled and swole with poison ivy outbreak.
How did you keep them off of those regions?
I think the only thing that saved me, well, I was sweating, so probably what I did is I brushed, and the sweat ran down, but it didn't get that far. We went back in. But, dude, my mom felt so bad for me the next day that the only time that she got me a Star Wars figure for no reason, it was just out of pure sympathy and pity. It was Greedo, by the way. And, but, yeah, and I was just polluted with, I had to throw the Greedo thing there for people following at home because, we've got Star Wars fans out there. But, yeah, the poison ivy about did me in that year. It was bad.
Polluted with poison ivy. That's a good term. Polluted.
Yeah. And that fence row also was when we played Dukes of Hazzard out on the playground, that was the borderline between Hazzard and Sweetwater County.
You are correct.
Yes.
There was a meme one time I think we've shared before. It says something about along the lines of, as a kid, I really thought quicksand was going to be a bigger problem in life or something like that. I would give the same to poison ivy. Poison ivy was a miserable experience as a Ute. I haven't had poison ivy in 30 years. Now, granted, I'm not a big woodsman. I'm not out in the woods a lot. But even when I have gone fishing, hiking, different things like that, I've managed somehow to stay out of poison ivy. So it hasn't been near the issue that I thought it would continue to be my whole life.
I didn't have it for years after. Like, my body built up immunity to it. Mm-hmm. My dad, I kid you, I quote you exactly. He's like, I don't know how you get that. I could eat that as a salad and it won't break me out. I think my dad almost ate poison ivy leaves as a salad to prove his point. But
same way with bee stings. I guarantee you in 30 years, 35 years. I thought bee stings were going to be a bigger problem in life, but maybe a sweat bee or something on my hand, but no like wasp or.
I took a wasp sting on my deck a few years ago, flew up the back of my cargo shorts and got me right on the bottom of the butt cheek.
Okay.
Yeah, wasps were terrible.
I was going to say, that's not what I thought you said. But.
I didn't either. And then when you said flew up your cargo shorts, I really thought you said something else.
Yeah, it just
the
kind of
wasp
went up
sting
the
on
back.
your deck?
It was on your deck. It went up your shorts to get to your deck.
Deck. Hey, I was just outside enjoying my deck, and it got me good. Wasp
That's why you don't wear cargo shorts, man.
Well, this is back when it was okay too.
Oh, okay.
So
That'll make you go blind.
yeah.
Don't enjoy your deck too much.
Yeah.
All right, so we're an hour and 15 in here, and other things I have written down. If we want to delve into these real quick, we've kind of touched upon the clothes, school supplies. We have not yet touched upon classroom dynamic, and changing back to school experiences from elementary to high school. So, any of those conjure up any discussion?
Well,
I will say on supplies, if I may, we just briefly discussed the Trapper Keeper prior to us recording here.
Yeah.
Which I believe was the greatest thing in school supply world from the time we were in school. Nothing sticks in my mind as being
world-changing,
such an earth-shattering, a life-changing experience than the Trapper Keeper.
Well, I remember Trapper Keepers pretty fondly, but what I don't remember is, were there other brands of them before Trapper Keepers?
No, see, that was the whole point. I remember the very first Trapper Keeper commercial. If we could find it on YouTube, we should probably put it on our Facebook page. But like your papers, you would put them in a folder and they would fly out all over the place. But Trapper Keeper folders kept your papers in check, and then you Velcro that snap would keep them. So basically, the dork dude, his papers were flying all unorganized all over the hallway, and Rico Suave walks in with his Trapper Keeper, and all of his affairs are in order. Is that the best way to describe it, Eric?
Yeah, but in reality, the dork was probably the smart guy, and he probably got better grades than the Rico Suave did, which is the ironic part of that whole thing.
I remember having, I don't remember, again, kind of like with my backpacks and lunch, well, my backpacks especially. I don't remember any specific color or design I had on my Trapper Keepers, but I do remember it seemed like everybody had just the single color Trapper Keeper. Well, they were always trimmed in white. It would be like red and white, or like green and white, blue and white, whatever. And then I remember the world of Trapper Keepers with pictures on them, with designs on them, things like that came about.
I had a mountain scene.
I had one with a baseball kind of painting on it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a picture. It was like a painting of people playing baseball.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I had Banff National Park on mine.
Banff.
Yeah, it was like a mountain lake thing.
Yeah, they were great. Do they still make Trapper Keepers?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure the patent is expired by now. It's kind of like wacky wall walkers. Now you can just go to a dollar store and get any kind of octopus and throw it against the wall, but it's not a wacky wall walker. I think it's the same thing with a Trapper Keeper.
It was wacky wall walkers. You would think you were getting by with having them walk down your parents' walls, and you know, they would never know it, but they always left behind a grease spot,
like a slime trail of a snail,
or just like a grease spot, just like somebody slapped a piece of fried bologna up there for about 3 minutes, took it off. It would just stay there. It was just
Actually, you could probably do that with cheap bologna.
Just a spot that you could only see if you looked at it from a certain angle. It was, the light had to reflect off of it just so, and then you could see the wacky wall walker grease spot.
Can I ask a question? I want you guys to confess to? I can tell you, I never did, but there's all the pop culture references to eating glue. I have never eaten Elmer's glue, nor did I feel compelled to.
No, I would put it on my hand and then peel it off when it dried off. Yeah, dried up.
You got
never ate it.
You got the biggest thing, rubber cement, which it's amazing they used to give that to us, because I guarantee you that stuff is highly toxic. And
oh yeah,
we used to just have it at our desk.
I mean, the fumes alone.
Yeah, the fumes alone, people be huffing that stuff.
They made some great fake boogers.
Yeah,
rubber cement.
These are facts. These are facts.
Well, I mean, we weren't too concerned about fumes back then. They also gave us ditto copies. So
Oh,
there was that.
when it would come off the mimeograph machine, and
Yes.
and it would stain your hands
it's
blue.
It's indigo blue glory.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And everybody's
Kind of wet.
Do you
It
remember?
came right off the.
We might have talked about this in another episode with schools, but do you remember the fluoride treatments at school?
oh
Yeah.
God, yes,
Yeah.
What was up with that?
torture, sadism.
But
That's what I was.
Well,
is there enough?
there were
Go ahead.
there were the little tablets you chewed to make sure you brushed well, and it kind of got your plaque and tartar shown up on your teeth.
The
And then they gave you the fluoride treatment.
swig of shame or the chew of shame.
Yeah,
And then,
they were in little Dixie cups, weren't they? The
yes,
fluorides, and it was clear.
And why I react so strongly to it, because I remember in second grade particularly, like my eyes are probably showing fire right now. Now, once you put this in your mouth and swig it, you can't go get a drink, and you can't spit it out. You just got to hold it. And it felt like an eternity. Of course, your mouth's on fire. Layers of your mouth skin are just dropping off. And you couldn't go out and you couldn't get a drink. And they would sit there and they'd get some kid to be a total stoolie. And they would make sure that if you walk toward the water fountain, they would rat you out in a heartbeat. Oh.
Yeah, I don't remember it being that traumatic of an experience, but I remember not liking it.
Oh.
And
You
I
were
always
probably allowed
remember
to swig your mouth out, probably.
I always remember wondering how it was clear, but yet had so much nasty flavor.
Yeah. Nurse Martellotti.
I was going to say, yeah.
Fluoride treatment.
So, at what point did that stop? I guess there's enough fluoride in drinking water and stuff now to where
Child abuse laws.
I don't know. And I would say drinking water had something to do with it.
And not only that, but just
Maybe.
think of all the things you could get over like ACT. Do you remember when ACT came out, the fluoride swish?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's, I think, products just became available over the counter that you didn't have to do it anymore.
do you remember the drinking fountains at Cerny Elementary? Did any of the teachers you guys had do the 1-2 shoe?
1-2 shoe.
Yeah, like when you would get a drink, 1-2 shoe. That's all you had to drink. That's not enough damn time to take a drink. I got news for them.
1-2 shoe.
1-2
I've never
shoe.
heard of such a thing.
That wouldn't
One
wet a
as
whistle
in
of anything.
get out of here.
As-
1-2 get out.
Yeah, shoe is not SHOE. The homophone there. Shoe is in SHE.
Shoe as in shoe fly. Don't
Yeah,
bother me. Shoe.
yeah. So, but that was a way to keep us moving, I guess, at the water fountain, so we
Yeah.
didn't linger and actually, quench our thirst after a hard gym session.
Just enough teaser to keep you from keeling over in class.
Yeah, yeah. So you had to be ready. Because if you weren't ready when you went up there, they started the 1-2 shoe count early, and then you
Before
only got
the
like
button pushed.
you only got
You
a
only got
2
shoe.
shoe, 2 shoe or a shoe.
I always
Never heard of such a thing.
I always dad joke my fifth graders coming in from a hot day. He's like, save some for the fish when they're drinking.
That
too
is a
long.
dad joke. But
Yeah.
I can't believe you got, because it seemed like more than one teacher adopted the 1-2 shoe thing.
I've never
you-
heard that.
You would have killed for a 1-2-3 flea or something like that after your drink. I mean, just a little more.
1, 2, 3,
Nah,
4
that-
score and 7 years ago.
And I will defer to Brady, as his memory is infinitely better than mine when it comes to things like that. I do
No.
not remember 1-2 shoe.
I think we were self-regulated. That somebody in the back of the line was like, "Hurry it up! I'm dying."
No, I believe it was not a vocal cue when we were in the formative years. It was a
Slap to the back of the
slap
cranium.
upside the head, or a knock upside the head with a Lincoln log, or
I had the
remember
same
a
teachers
snake
you
in
guys
Lincoln
had, guys.
well,
In first
times
grade, there
have
was a snake in
changed
the Lincoln
even for
Logs.
them.
What?
In first grade, there was a small snake in the Lincoln Logs. We'd come back on as a
Was it the
Monday in
sneaky
Miss
snake?
Harrell's class and dump the Lincoln Logs, and a small snake about 4 or 5 inches scurried out, and Mr. Hardiman had to get it.
Gosh, that man did
Was
it
it
all.
the sneaky snake?
What?
That man did it all.
So was it the sneaky snake?
It was
Did
sneaky
he crawl
snake.
out to the playground?
He was haunting somebody to cross the line.
Gosh, that would have been enough to make me. I mean, I never would have gone back to school had I dumped a snake out. And gosh, can't even think about that.
A friend of mine that we're named nameless didn't go to our school. She got in trouble because she pooped in the Lincoln Log container. You know how it's like it, yeah. Because you talk about a shocker. It's like, what was the most trouble you ever got in school? It was like first grade. It was like, what'd you do? I pooped in Lincoln Logs, and I'm like,
So, not only an action such as defecating in the Lincoln Logs, but a girl did it. I mean,
yeah.
that sounds like certainly a boy thing to do.
Yeah,
I think I broke up with her. Right, I didn't go out with her anymore after that.
she was your girlfriend. Did you already say that?
Well, no. I was just joking. It's like I don't think I went out with her again. It was just a couple dates.
So, what did
Deal
it?
breaker.
Did it take a while for that particular Lincoln log, that particular log to get discovered? I mean,
I think she was caught in the act.
you go,
She was building a house.
you go to build it. They didn't have that piece that she needed
Yeah.
to make her own.
You could.
Couldn't find one of those. Couldn't find one of those rare unslotted Lincoln logs. So it would have been really awesome had her name been Lincoln.
Ooh.
Oh,
Wow.
my. So,
Yeah.
If anybody listens, don't let your kids listen to us in the first place. But if you do, we don't want to give any kids any ideas.
no.
Yeah.
Don't defecate in the Lincoln logs.
Do they even make like? Is Lincoln Logs sort of like one of those things like Tinker Toys? I was horrified when I got my kiddos, or they got some Tinker Toys for Christmas, and they're all plastic now. Are Lincoln Logs now plastic too?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm on it. I will
Now,
research that.
Tinker Toys, there were some plastic pieces in the Tinker Toys, but most of them were wood.
But the bungs and the sticks and the bungs that they went
The
into,
what?
they,
The
no,
what?
the wood, they were called bungs. They were wooden, and there was the place for the stick to go there, and they
Bunghole?
like you could make it like a. You,
I believe it. That would be the
We're
appropriate
still in
term.
elementary school. But you can make it radiate like a bike spoke. You could put them in the sides, or you could make it like the axle of a wheel.
That's called a prolapse.
You know
Where did you get that's what they were called though? Like, did you just make that up? Like,
No. But okay,
My
I
question
do know
is,
what a
how do you
bung
make
is,
it?
right?
The
the only bung
What
factory-
you think it is?
The only bung factory in the United States was not too far away from here. They're wooden cask, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like wooden kegs or barrels. Mm-hmm. The hole where like the beer or whatever would come out. But anyway, the wooden thing that goes in that is called the bung, which is hence bung hole, like the barrel. But they PM Magazine did a story from the bung factory in Ohio back in our youth.
Brady's knowledge of the anus and
No, this has.
And what it
hemorrhoids,
produced.
that's coincidental that these came up at the same time, but for
Oh, goodness.
real, I
I didn't know
challenge
that.
anybody.
I'm gonna look it
Google
up.
bung factory.
I don't want to.
Ohio.
Don't Google bunghole.
No, you don't do that.
Matter of fact, don't Google bung factory. I'm pretty sure. How about Tinker toy bungs? Tinker. I'm going to say Tinker toy wooden parts.
So okay, we are an hour and a half in here. My last item here I have written down is classroom dynamic. So one thing when you got to elementary school, and Brady mentioned this when we were talking before, and I do not remember. We didn't have things like open houses like they do now. As far as I don't remember it. So when did you find out what teacher you had? I don't remember ever finding out until I walked in the door.
I was going to say the same thing, but you had to know what door to walk in somehow.
Exactly.
They would kind of stand outside and then usher you into the right, into the correct.
I mean, I remember
I
a
had
list of names on by the classroom door. So I do
Yes,
remember
there
that
was
part.
that. Kind of like finding if you made the audition or not, like
Exactly.
like in sitcoms or whatever. You would look for your name, but I remember a couple times getting clued in, but I could remember maybe my parents didn't tell me. Like
I was
they
going to
just
say,
wanted me to be surprised.
I wonder if our parents got letters, or
Yeah, could
Yeah.
be.
have to ask. Real quick, change the subject before we come back to this. Standard parts of the link of Tinker Toys: the wheels, the caps, the couplings, the pulleys, Part W, short pointed sticks. And then there's also mentions a spool being in there. No mention of the bung.
Spool. When I googled it, it came right up.
Yeah, but
I don't.
I
see
don't
the
deny
word.
the part.
Yeah.
But I put in Tinker Toy Bung, and that's what came up.
Just. Oh goodness, we should do a little. It's a shame we can't do a face or some sort of thing where like we ask our listeners to Google that in whatever way they can and send us whatever pops up on their Google search.
Please don't. We don't want to lose our license to
Yeah.
broadcast
Do we have a license?
or to teach, for that matter.
Yeah. Right.
So Eric,
So,
back to the. I don't remember either. I'm like you. I remember going into a room, but I don't remember knowing before the first day of school. Maybe they told us on the bus or something. I don't know.
I didn't ride the bus. I walked.
That's true.
That's true.
Well, I mean-
I think we walked down the hallway to the correct grade level spot,
And looked for
and
your name. Is that what you did?
I also remember the teacher standing by their door and asking what your name is, and they would steer you in the right direction.
But that would only be if you were in the wrong room, right? I mean, what made you go into a particular room?
Well, no, you would be walking down the hallway, and you would look, and there would be like, Mrs.
The list of
Young
names
saying,
by the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
But-
again, I told the story prior to us going record here, and I won't name names, of course, but there was one year I ended up in a classroom that was away from my friends, and I went home and I complained, and all of a sudden I was in the other room the next day.
Ooh.
So I couldn't have known prior to, otherwise I would have complained
They
before.
pulled rank.
Yeah.
Only
Now
time I
you
ever
as
did
a-
that.
Now you as an administrator now see the.
Yeah, the error of those ways. Yeah. Can't have that.
Yeah. I was
So
going to say.
what would administrator you say to whatever age level you were at that time?
I won't say what age level I was at that time. 'Cause that may
Yeah,
give away.
that's why I was careful.
17.
You'll go there and you'll like it.
Yeah,
So,
I remember walking. I remember how terrible you felt when you, whatever friend or whoever was your best buddy at the time, if they weren't in there. It was a terrible feeling. But I also remember how excited you felt when you did find out that you had your best buds in class with you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that continued. I know one of the things you wanted to talk about was the difference from elementary to high school. One of the things I remember being in high school, probably my first year, maybe every year, but I remember the beginning of the year being in the cafeteria and finding out certain things like what lunch you had and things like that.
Right.
And I can remember Zach and I, my friend Zach, we would be across the room, and I remember when like he looked and I guess you had your schedule or something, maybe I don't remember, and then looking over and like giving each other signals of what lunch we had. So that excitement carried over even into high school. You know, just knowing which classes and which lunch you had with certain people.
right.
Yeah.
So on that same note, so you find out what classroom you're in, and you have to figure out the teacher's mannerisms, because you never really know what you got going in. You know, is it going to be mean? Going to be nice? Going to give a lot of work? You know, how's that going to go?
Well, and I tend to remember it being kind of like now, to where it doesn't, as a teacher, to me, and I'm not tooting my own horn here. It's just it's the way I've always handled it as a teacher. But I never worry about so much if the student coming to me got in trouble a lot the year before, or you know, whatever. As far as that, I look at it as every year kind of, and from 3rd to 4th grade, there's a lot of change there.
Maturity.
You know, that's actually, I think, one of the biggest jumps from 3rd to 4th grade. So a lot of times, if a student had behavior issues in 3rd grade, they just start out with and don't in the 4th. But I remember it being the same way with the teachers, because it seemed like every teacher that you heard was mean, I ended up really liking, and every teacher you heard was, you know, a softie, it ended up being not mean. But back then I would have thought, you know, they were mean. So it never seemed to match the I guess the reputation.
So
I was
then
always
I guess
terrified to get in trouble. So
I guess the ultimate question then, Todd, was it the teachers or was it you?
Probably not. It probably was me. It probably was the student.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I you know, and obviously we're not going to mention teachers' names, but Brady, you said you were afraid to get in trouble. I never liked to get in trouble. I embarrassed easily. I wasn't comfortable, you know, being in front of people, but it didn't seem to stop me from getting into trouble. So I don't really, I guess my fear of not having people like me and laugh at me was stronger than my fear of getting in trouble. Now I'm going to lay down on the red couch, and you guys can be my therapist here as I.
Or was your cutting up a defense mechanism?
Yeah, I don't. Again, you know, I always liked being the class clown, and so I enjoy getting a good laugh. So
I'm very
think
thankful that I wasn't as confident back then, because my personality now, you know, my ability to quip at everything, I think would have got me in hot water, like big time.
Yeah.
Well, once we got later on into high school, we were able to quip pretty well, and somehow we kept ourselves out of trouble. But
Yeah,
we knew when to stop.
Without going into any details here, I'm probably lucky I didn't get in more trouble in high school.
Well, we've heard details. So
some of the things, but it was never bad. You know what I mean? Like it was never nothing to get suspended for, nothing that was borderline criminal. It was always just, you know, orneriness.
A bruise from a mule bite that you gave your teacher is not bad.
Now maybe I could get arrested for that now, but you had cool teachers.
Yeah, there you go. And anything else on classroom dynamics? We are now an hour and 38 in, so it's probably about time we wrap it up.
Yeah, we might be able to do a part 2 about this. But I can't really think of anything else. I mean, we hit the highlights and other things thrown in there
not
too.
Even in the order where we intended, but
and not in the order. There's a certain beauty and purity to us free-versing things a bit.
Have we talked about the glory, the disgusting glory that was vomit dust? Have we talked about that in past episodes?
Vomo scrub?
Yeah. I think it's been briefly mentioned, but I don't think people realize today, if you weren't around back then, how much of a part of your life that was. There was really not a day where there wasn't much. Never a week went by where you didn't see a mound of
sawdust,
sawdust in the hallway.
Sawdust.
That is a fact, but yet you never saw it in high school.
No,
I mean that was definitely an elementary school thing.
I don't remember anybody.
I do remember one
in
time,
high school.
my freshman year, a sophomore threw up in the hall pretty bad in the hallway, and they came and threw the dust on it. I always wondered. I mean, Eric, you could ask your dad this. Did Mr. Hardiman just have a pocket full of that stuff? I mean, where did it come from? It was just like as soon as the vomit hit the ground, no sooner than it hit the ground, it starts snowing, custodian glitter.
It's like Tarzan in the background. Oh, and he would come running in and throw it on that yak.
I mean, he had to have a back. It was like a clown. It was like a magic trick. He just had a bag of it up his sleeve. But they don't. At what point did that stuff get outlawed?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure
I honestly don't even know what is used now. And I
don't
should.
know.
they're
They-
outside the loop.
I think they just mop it up now. Just
Maybe it just when I see vomit, I go the other way.
I know I do. Yeah.
You were kind of an audience there that you couldn't leave at that point when you were young. You had to stick around
Oh,
it.
man.
But,
I lucked out. I never threw up. The only time I ever threw up at school was 1 year in high school during basketball conditioning, but it was in the bathroom. I never threw up at school. I always, but even back